Sports Authority of Goa has been running a number of coaching centers. Now we have 120 plus coaches in different games and sports. So while SCG has emphasized in the last 2 years to enhance the knowledge of the coaches in various subjects associated with sports and fitness, and now we have moved a step further in ensuring that the coaches of different sport come out with a kind of module in terms of coaching training, so that it would encourage their trainings. To begin with, we have tried our hand at cricket, in which now several coaches have come together to prepare a module as regard training coaching in cricket, covering all the 4 major departments of cricket like bowling, batting, wicket keeping and fielding. A new endeavor from the coaching section, and I'm very happy that all coaches have come together. Various game coaches would try and help each other in preparing these modules, which will go a long way in creating the right kind of interest among trainees, the right kind of interest among parents. After having seen these videos, which shows the intricacies of various skills associated with various games and sports, people will get encouraged. Indeed, very happy that coaches have started showing their creativity, coaches have started enhancing their knowledge. Whatever enhancement of knowledge you see among the coaches, in the ultimate analysis, it helps their trainees. Yes. The SCG urges upon the parents, the students, the PE teachers to kindly see these videos and guide the students in their own manner to witness these videos and to decide for themselves to get enrolled with the coaching program of the Sports Authority of Goa, so that all the hidden talent which is there among the students could be tapped by the coaches.
Due to pandemic, sports was severely affected. To motivate the Goan youth, me and my coaching team have come up with this concept of learn to play online. The first episode of this will be cricket, and I urge the Goan youth to be the part and parcel of this program.
Every young aspiring cricketer should always know the origins of the game, because when you know the roots, you have a little bit confidence in the knowledge you have, the information you have. Where was cricket originated, or from where did cricket originate? Britishers originated the game of cricket. This is what the historians have got to say, that cricket was first played in the 17th century. Now, how did cricket spread the way it is played now? If British have originated the game of cricket, then the colonization of the countries led to the popularity of this game. The Britishers played amongst themselves in the colonies where they were the masters. And when they played this game, the locals could watch the game, and from there they could see how the game is played, learn a bit of that technique by watching, and then they could start playing this game. Later on, this game started to be played between the Britishers and the locals, and this is how the game started gaining popularity in India. Now, the first game of cricket was played in Gujarat in the year 1721 by the British sailors. Now, this first game brought in some enthusiasm, and then the popularity started spreading more in the West. And going by the history of Indian cricket, you will see that most of the players were from the Mumbai, and Mumbai being close to Gujarat, where the first game was played, there is some connection there, and being a port, the Britishers could most probably always land there, and Mumbai became the hub of cricket. Later on, it started spreading to Tamil Nadu, it started spreading to the north, to the south in Karnataka, and all of India started playing the game of cricket. Now, how did the game become popular in India? Or was it so popular in India? The game was played not as a competitive game in India, but 1983 World Cup was the turning point. Once the 1983 World Cup was won by beating the mighty West Indies, I should say, the cricketing fraternity got motivated to another level, and people started loving the game. They started loving the game for different things. One is to play the game and to enjoy it. Second, entertainment. Third, the glamour, and maybe the financial matters here and there. And today, the Board of Cricket for India is the richest body in cricket. Now, how was it possible to spread in a huge country like India? The Board of Cricket for India is the main body, and it's affiliated other states. Like in Goa, we have the Goa Cricket Association. Now, what does the Goa Cricket Association do? The Goa Cricket Association organizes tournaments for young boys, for school-going boys, for colleges. Then they have got the Premier League, and from this, the players are later selected to play the age group tournaments which the BCCI conducts in different places, and all the states participating. And this is how the popularity of the game is today, as we say. And I am really glad that today cricket is the most popular game in India, and a lot of aspiring young cricketers always jumping on board to gain some popularity through this game.
I'm here to tell you something about cricket and how it is played. Well, cricket is a game that owes much of its unique appeal to the fact that it should be played not only within its law but also within the spirit of the game. Cricket is a most popular game. It is the most popular game in India. In itself, it is a religion in its own way. First of all, cricket is a team game. It is played in a demarked area. The number of players are determined before the start of the match and are not more than 11 players a side. The game can be played either over a set of period of time or over a number of overs. The basic requirement to play the game is a bat, a ball and stumps along with protective gears. Cricket is played on a prepared pitch. You can see it on the screen. The dimension of the pitch is on the screen with all the markings and the measurements. On the screen you can see the play field and some of field placements. The play field is otherwise oval, circle. It depends upon how it is decided by both the teams and the officials on the ground. Part of it, one team will field and the other team will bat. This will be decided before the start of the match. The initial goal of the fielding team is to restrict the batting team from scoring too many runs and for getting all the batsmen out. The goal for the batting team is to score as many runs as possible without losing wickets in the allotted innings. The team batting second has to achieve the target, that is the run scored by the team which batted first within the allotted over or time. When the batsman decides to take the run, both the striker and the non-striker to change end to complete one run, and if they do it more number of times, that will be added as 1, 2, 3, and it goes on. If the ball hits the ground before it crosses the boundary line or demarked area, then 4 runs will be awarded to the striking batsman. If the ball flies over the boundary line or demarked area without even touching the ground, then 6 runs, which are the maximum runs that can be scored by a batsman by hitting the ball, is added to the batsman's score. When the batsman is batting, the batsman can be out in several ways. Some of the main ways where the batsman can be out is, first is he can be bowled, that is when the bowler bowls the ball and it hits the stumps, he is bowled out. Second is catch out, that is when the batsman hits the ball and before it touches the ground, the fielder catches the ball, he is out. Third, stumped out, the batsman is outside the crease and the keeper collects the ball and hits the stumps, he is out. Third is run out while taking the run, when the batsmen are falling short of the crease and the fielding side hits the ball on the stumps, he is run out. The next one is hit wicket, while playing the ball, the batsman hits the stumps to the end where he is standing, he is declared out by the umpire. Next one is LBW, the short form of leg before wicket. This is how when the batsman while playing the ball misses the ball and the ball hits the pads of the batsman when he is exactly in front of the stumps, the umpire can declare him as out. The next one is obstructing the field, when the fielder is trying to stop the ball and the batsman deliberately stops him from doing so, the umpire can declare him as out. The next one is hitting the ball twice, which is known as double hit. When the batsman hits the ball once with the bat, he can't hit the ball again with the same bat, or he can't hit the ball the second time with the bat. Last but not the least, handling the ball. The batsman cannot touch the ball. That is, if the ball after playing is going towards the stumps, the batsman cannot stop it with his hands. And last but not the least is timeout. This normally can be seen in matches when the batsman is out and the batsman who is out is going away from the crease towards the pavilion. The next batsman coming in should come before completion of 3 minutes. So these are some of the most occurring dismissals in a cricket match. Going further, all 11 players can field the ball. Said and done, at a time one bowler can bowl, and each over consists of 6 legal deliveries. I say legal deliveries because there are deliveries which are not legal as per cricketing laws, that we will discuss later on. One clear will be the wicket keeper. Besides the fielders, the batsmen of the field, there are 2 umpires on the field to officiate the match. The umpires' decisions are the final decisions. All players from both the teams should respect the umpire's decision. Since cricket is played with a hard ball which is made out of leather, there are chances of the batsman or the fielder getting hurt with the ball. As a batsman, there are so many protective gears which is required to be worn by the batsman. Here are some of the gears which we have shown here. At the same time, the apparels, the clothing that are required for a cricketer on the field. All said and done, cricket has developed lots. Now people play with colored dress, white balls, all these things we'll talk about a little bit later. But since today we are talking about the protective gears and the accessories which is required for a leather ball cricket, since the ball is hard and there are chances of the batsman getting hurt when he is playing, there are some protective gears which are very much required when you play this game cricket. So let me first go to the dress. I'm showing you a boy who is wearing full whites. The reason why he is wearing whites, I think everybody knows, because if it is a day's match, longer the inning, he has to be in the sun for quite a long time, and white is a sign of reflection. It reflects light, it does not absorb light. So that's why We start from his t-shirt, nice and white, his pants, and so also his shoes. Shoes also are required since they are very much essential to protect the feet from dust. For the legs, it is the pads. Since we assume that he is playing a test match, and for test match it has to be a white pad. Start by wearing the Velcro strip, the lower one first. Then the middle one. Depending upon how comfortable you are, you can make the strips tight, loose. But it is better to have the bottom strip more tight, middle strip tight, and the top strip a little bit loose so that you can flex your legs with the pads while you're running. So that's the pads for you. Since it is men's cricket, we need to protect our center. So this is the ball guard. This will be slipped in when he is getting ready to bat, which is wearing a special type of undergarments which is got a. We go to this thigh guard. This will depend upon the batsman. He's a right-hander. These are wearing a different thigh guard. Left-hander wearing a different thigh guard. This is the thigh guard. This is going to face the bowler, and this is inner thigh guard. So this is a protection for the thigh which is inside, which is not facing. We have taken care of the lower portion. Now the body is a bit higher. We have to take care of the hands, the palms especially. When the batsman is holding the bat, there are many chances of the ball hitting the hand. So he has to wear protective gloves for his hands so that his fingers won't get hurt. Okay? So he's wearing the gloves in both the hands because he holds the bat with both the hands. After the gloves, he has to protect his elbow that is facing the bowler. This is called an elbow guard which he has to wear on his forearms, protecting his elbow at the same time, the wrist also. In the test match, there are many chances the bowler bounces the ball several times in a over, intending to hit the batsman on his body. So he has to protect his chest. So this is called the chest guard. It just comes round his chest so that when he's side on, his chest is protected, his rib cage is protected, so that even if the ball hits him there, not much damage is done. So this is called the chest guard. Last but not the least, the most important part of our body, the head, which makes all the decisions. And many a times, the bowler is smart enough, he tries to attack the head, because that is where he can disturb the batsman from concentration. So we have these helmets, which help the batsman protect his head, protects his skull. So he's got a visor here which protects his face, his eyes, his nose, his chin, and his mouth, and at the same time protects his ears also. To complete the protection of the batsman, batsman has taken care that he doesn't get hurt. So after the batsman, the next person on the field would be the most vulnerable player to be injured is the wicketkeeper, since he bears all the fast bowling and spin bowling. He needs to stop the ball in any condition. That becomes the most important part of his job. So everything else remains same for him except for his pads, which will not be as tall as the batsman's pad, because he needs to sit down, stand up several times during a match. So the size of the pad is slightly lesser than the length of the batsman's pad, so that it makes it easy for him to bend, at the same time run behind the ball. Are a very important part for the wicket keeper, since he has to bear all the brunt and fast bowling and the ball hitting his hands again and again. He has to protect his hands from inside first. Before wearing the main keeping gloves, he has to wear the inner gloves. He's got a slight sponging at the palm, on both the palms, and he's got nice protection on all the sides. On the top of this inner gloves, he'll be wearing the actual keeping gloves. I just want to show you how this glove is. It's got a small web here, so that when the keeper holds the ball, it doesn't come out of this opening here when we have this field. So this is the inner glove. It's got enough protection from inside. It's made out of foam leather, so that it is soft and it is comfortable for the wicket keeper to remove it and wear it again and again. So you see, the wicket keeper is wearing the wicket keeping gloves over the inner gloves. So here we have batsmen They're wearing their full protective gears. They're ready to go and bat or that. I'd like to add one more thing here. All the gears what they are wearing are lightweighted. It makes easy for the batsman to run with them, and they are very soft so that it doesn't hurt him while he's playing. It doesn't disturb his concentration while he's playing. So this is a left-handed batsman. This is a right-handed batsman with all these protective gears. He's ready to face any fast bowling, any spin bowling. He's very sure that he's going to get hurt very minimum.
Now we are going to learn the skill of batting. Batting is an art where you score a lot of runs, and these runs are only possible if your technique is good enough to match the bowling. The first part of batting, the most important, is the grip. Now, to have a good grip where you can score runs on all the sides and in every angle you want, and to have a control on the bat and to gain maximum power, we have to know the bat first. So now this is a cricket bat made of wood, and this is called the face of the bat, and this is the vertical position of the bat. This is the back of the bat. It's got a hump, it's got two shoulders, this is the handle. And now when, as a right-handed batsman, when I keep the bat down here, this will be the outer edge and this will be the inner edge. Now everything depends on how we hold on to the bat. So first we go to the back of the bat, the hump, the splice and the shoulder and the outer edge. So the V of the top hand, in case of a right-handed batsman, it could come the left hand. This left hand should be, the V should be between the hump and the outer edge. So let us find an easy way of getting it. Hold your V between the splice and the outer edge, and now slowly bring it down. Try to catch it on top as much as possible, say leaving two fingers on top. Now this is the grip of the top hand. Now we'll go for the grip of the bottom hand. The bottom hand also, the V, you catch it on the hump. Let the V be on the hump, and now you pull it down slowly and bring it and keep it next here. So the V of the grip now will again come between or on this hump. Anyway, so once this grip is done, and always remember, you always keep a one finger gap so that when you wear the gloves, you can move your hands in a very comfortable manner. Once the grip is done, now we go to the stance. Now the stance is the most important. In cricket, all the techniques are important because cricket is a side-on game. And to be side-on, we have to be technically correct. So we take this grip to swing the bat. And to swing the bat, we have to be side-on, so the bat goes back and comes in front. And we have to be very stable. But we have to start facing the ball from somewhere. And that is where the stance come into place. But before going on to the stance, there is one thing which every batsman should do when he goes on the field. That is taking a guard. So I take a guard from the umpire. Leg stump, sir. He will guide me whether my leg stump is. And I mark it. I can mark it with the bottom of my bat, or I can mark it with my shoes, whichever is comfortable for you. Now, once this guard is taken, now this guard is taken, when you stand on the leg stump guard with your toes in line, the guard is to allow me, a batsman, to know the line of the ball. So from my leg stump, now I know which is my off stump, which is my middle stump. And that is the time I start playing the ball where the line and length is concerned. So now, on this guard, which is on the popping crease, I place my first toe and my foot inside the popping crease, and the next one, my front leg, on my toe on the popping crease and outside the popping crease. Now this, you may ask me what should be the width? As comfortable as possible to you to be in a position where your mobility and your stability is very high. So mobility, because you need to go in line and towards the pitch of the ball or go away, your foot movement should be quick. And the second one is the stability, where the wider your legs go, the more stable. So you should be the shoulder width. That is what we always recommend at the start, because this is the basics of cricket where you start. And as you go higher, you can always take your position where you feel it is very, very comfortable and you can play much better on this. So now, this is how we keep our legs. Now we place the bat behind the toe, and now if you see my head is tilted. So for that I can come up a bit, and that's how my stance could be. My shoulder facing maybe towards the return crease of the bowler side, so that my head is in line of the bowler where I can see him, and my eyes do not move, because that could surely cause disturbance in seeing the ball. Now from this position, you need to play the ball. So what I do is, with my left hand, that is my top hand, I lift the bat with my bottom hand grip moving on this thumb and the first finger as a hinge. So now I have got the top hand controlling the bat and the bottom hand just relaxed, so that it gives stability to the bat when I play. So the bat does not move. So from here, this is my ready to play stance, and now you will see that when I lift the bat, it is parallel to the ground. My hands, my arms, they're parallel to ground. My elbow facing towards the return crease just as my shoulder. My head watching the ball very minutely. Since my head is not moving, I can see the ball better. Now from here, we take whatever position we want to play the ball, whether it is front foot or whether it is back foot, or whichever stroke one wants to play. Now from the ready to play position, where the batsman is now watching the bowler deliver the ball. So once ball is delivered, we will see the line and length of the ball, and then as per that line and length, the feet, the hands, the body will start moving. So now we have got one of our coaches who is going to show you how a front foot defense is played. Now the selection of the ball for the front foot is a ball which is pitched near you but not close enough to play a stroke, and this is a vertical bat stroke. So now the pitch of the ball is on the off stump and it's a bit away from you, and so now the batsman removes his legs out, his foot out towards the pitch of the ball. You see the shoulder is now towards the pitch of the ball and the backlift is not very high because this is a defensive stroke. And now the bat comes down slowly towards the line of the ball. We are going to learn the drive. Now the drive is only an extension of a defense. Only the pitch of the ball is much closer to you where you have got a stable base to hit the ball. So now first the ball is pitched close to you on or outside the off stump. Now the batsman will take his foot towards the pitch of the ball and in line with it. Now if you see his position, his toe is pointing towards the covers, and that is where the ball, the drive will be played. And now he will play the full drive and show you. Now we have one of our coaches who is going to give you a demo of how you play a back foot defense. Now for a back foot defense, the selection of the ball is short, pitched away from you, and the height of the ball is anywhere above the waist. So this pitch of the ball is on the off stump and the height of the ball is somewhere near your waist where you cannot drive it. So the positioning is the back leg goes back and across with the toe on the off stump. And now he will bring the bat down and the leg which is in front will go back with the downswing. And the elbow goes high, the bottom hand is nice and loose, it's held between the thumb and the forefinger, and the ball is played right below his eyes. Now our coach will show the demo of the back foot drive. Now the pitch of the ball is the same as the back foot defense, but the height of the ball will change. It will be between the knee and the waist because we have to hit with the sweet part of the bat. So now the leg will go back and across covering the off stump. The bat will come down in a downswing and it will go to the follow through in one quick moment. Now what we are learning here is the basics, and these basics are for the newcomers. And we have to remember one part when we are imparting this knowledge to you. There are two types of strokes in cricket. One is the vertical and one is the horizontal. Now in the vertical bat, you will be showing the full face of the bat. So whether the ball bounces more than you expected or keeps low, it is going to hit somewhere on this bat and the chances of getting out is totally minimized. Whereas the horizontal bat, you are going to play a stroke only with this part where the bat is going to come in this manner, and that is why the chances of getting out is nearly 80 to 85% for the beginners. And what we want to teach is how to use the top hand in controlling the bat, and that is why this episode is only where the vertical stroke will be showed. Thank you. Yes. The running between the wicket. This is one of the most important department because this is where all the runs come from. Whether you take a cheeky single or you have to take twos or you have to take quick threes, whatever it is, the technique to get off the start is very important. It is as important as any other technique in cricket. Now we have got two coaches who are going to impart you this knowledge. As the bowler runs in, the batsman looking at the bowler also starts taking a start towards the striker's end. Now this is the non-striker's end which we are showing. The batsman is inside the crease and the bowler is going to now deliver the ball. So now we will know exactly what happens. Here the bowler comes in. Now I'll see the batsman walking out. Here you have to notice that when the non-striker came out of that crease, he has got the bat in both the hands. Now this makes running very, very easy. Now he has got the handle in the left hand because that is the side which was closer to the crease and it gives a better length to be in the crease. Now why this start is taken? This start is taken to give the non-striker a little more time, lesser distance to cover to reach the crease, and that is why the chances of taking quick singles and running more runs is very easy. The most important is the coordination between the two batsmen out there. Calling is one of the most important part because the chances of run out could be high if any one of the batsmen doesn't call rightly. One wrong call or no call is going to end in disaster. So once the batsman comes out and he knows which side the ball is, how close is it to the fielder, there are three calls which he is going to take, any one of these three. One is the no, the other is the yes, and the third is wait. Now we are just deducting this wait from our syllabus here, but the yes and no is going to be the most important part which we are going to explain. So now we are going to have the first call, that's the no. No! There he goes back. The next call is the yes, and that's the most important call which we are looking at. Yes! Now once he says yes, there is no second thoughts. Both the batsmen have to run, or one batsman has to say an early no, and this will avoid the disaster from another wicket falling. Now we have one of our coaches who is going to teach you the technique of bowling. Now this bowling is a basic which we will teach before teaching the other things, because we have got swing, we have got spin, we have got cutters, but today we are going to only impart the knowledge of the basics. So now the coach has got the ball in hand, and that ball has got a seam in between, and the ball is red in color on the either side. Now that seam is very important to keep the ball straight, and how it's going to be kept straight is what we are going to explain. The first finger of your bowling hand and the second finger of the bowling hand will be placed on either side of the seam in a relaxed manner. The weight of the ball will be now supported with the thumb. The most important part is the two fingers with which the whole process of delivering will be done. The thumb is there just to support so that the ball does not fall down. Now, why this grip is important? This grip is important so that when you are releasing the ball, you have maximum control, the ball can swing, and then you will know how to catch the seam and swing the ball. And the most important part is the back spin which we show. So the back spin the ball will spin towards you, and the more spin you impart, the better the control on the ball. Okay, now I'm going to teach the skill of keeping. That's called wicket keeping. The wicket keeper has got two positions, for a pace bowler and one is for a spinner. Now for a fast bowler, we normally stand away from the stumps in line of the off stump or a bit away depending upon the which side the bowler is bowling. So they stay in a crouch position, and as the ball is delivered, he starts coming up with the gloves down on the ground. Yes. And as per the height of the ball, he will then take the gloves to collect the ball, and will collect the ball away from him and give in to reduce the speed of the ball so that it doesn't hurt his gloves or his hand. Now for a spinner, since a batsman normally steps out to hit the ball and a spinner tries to beat the batsman in the air, so due to the spin there are chances that the batsman could be out of his crease and therefore the wicket keeper can get him stumped. So for this, we take 2 steps away from the stump backwards, we make a line here and then another line in line of the off stump, and we stand on that mark, the crossing intersection, and we take a crouched up position. The gloves should be behind the stumps, and now we are looking at the bowler ball. Now since the ball comes slower and there are chances of spinning, we have to be a little more down, not normally like how I keep for a fast bowler. So I stay down and I see the pitch of the ball and I start getting up with the pitch of the ball and then collect it as per the spin or as per the height of the ball. So the normal procedure is getting up slowly and getting up with the ball after the bounce and not before it.
Video which I want to dedicate to all you budding cricketers. You're starting with this beautiful journey of playing cricket. The only small thing which I would like to request your parents is inculcate the feeling of love towards this game. Do not put undue pressure on yourself of getting runs or getting wickets. It will all come once you play this game at a higher level. Once you start playing games, more and more games, you'll understand how to get runs, how to get wickets. Do not put pressure. Inculcate only the feeling of love towards the game, and everything else will fall in place.
Hi guys, myself Swapnil Asnodkar. Well, I would love to give a small message to the budding cricketers. Well, first of all, since you guys have chosen cricket, obviously it's one of the best games, a beautiful game to play, and I'm sure you guys will enjoy. But to become a successful player in this game, you have to go through certain things, and there are certain important things which you cannot miss. Like you have to be very disciplined, you have to be very dedicated, you have to be very determined. So these 3 qualities are very, very important for you to become a successful cricketer. And the most important part is you should be able to enjoy the game without even thinking much about the results or the outcome. So always make sure whenever you go out, just give your best and just enjoy your game. Don't think too much about the results, whether you'll be successful or no. But more the time you start enjoying the game, obviously I'm sure the results will be positive. I wish you guys all the best. And one more thing I would like to add. Always make sure, you admit the mistakes what you do, which will help you to become a good learner, and you'll be able to improve your game.
Hello guys, this is Suyash Prabhudesai, and all I want to say is just believe in yourself. No matter what people say about you, just believe in yourself and be really focused and consistent about your training, about your practice, and you have to be really focused in whatever game you're playing, be it a school game, ICC game, or any local game you're playing around. Just be really focused and maintain your fitness level, guys, because nowadays cricket has been really competitive, and if you want to compete with the higher athletes, you have to really maintain your physical level. And if you maintain your body well, you'll be in a great state of mind to perform better in cricket. So set goals that are realistic, and take one step, take small steps, and it will help you to reach your goal. And just all the best, guys. Keep working hard and be really focused. Thank you.